You know, I'm something of a podcast myself. I'm something of a podcast myself. You know, I'm something of a podcast. I'm something of a podcast. I'm something of a podcast myself.
All right, welcome back to yet another episode of Something of a Podcast, the only podcast brave enough to say, you know, I'm something of a podcast myself. As always, I am your host, Mike Gamms, and with me, also as always, is the very talented VonDoom. Say hello, VonDoom.
Hello, VonDoom.
It always makes me laugh when you say that. It's have a simple mind, it works. So we got lots of exciting things to talk about this week. Later in the show, in our second half, we're gonna go over our top 3 female vocalists, right? That's in the second half of the show. First we're gonna talk about some other stuff. Before we get like real deep into it, our topics that we have for today, I just wanted to say a couple things about a couple things real quick. Have you been watching Curb Your Enthusiasm? Did you catch the newest episode this week?
I haven't seen this week's episode yet.
I see. I won't spoil anything about it. I'll just give a factoid.
Okay.
It's a so it's called the Dream Scheme. That's the newest episode, episode 7, and Larry goes on a date with someone whom we've not seen in the show before. That's as far as I'll say. And I just wanted to mention who the guest star is that's now on the show. And it's not spoiling anything, I don't think. But the guest star is Essence Adkins.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting that.
No. So it's really exciting for me, because at first I was like, wait a minute. I was like, I couldn't place exactly who it was at the first second, because I was like, wait a minute. And I just kept getting these like sort of sister feelings from it. I was like an older sister vibe. And I was like, oh, right, smart guy. And then I remembered it's like she's older, and a million other things, of course. But and we were just talking about Smart Guy a couple of weeks ago when we were talking about the Muppets. So make sure you check out Curb. Okay, that was it for that. My next thing is, did you see Abbott Elementary the past 2 weeks? They did like one after the Oscars and then a new one. And all I want to say about that is they also have a very exciting new guest star / new character, and that's Cree Summer playing the librarian, who's just like one of the greatest voice actors of all time. Also been around forever as well, and a million other things. But so I just wanted to give a shout out to that. So let me step back real quick. The reason I brought up one of the reasons I brought up Essence Adkins, and that she's a guest star on Curb this week, is I go to look her up, and guess what? Her birthday is February 7th, my birthday. So Essence Adkins, Carol Ann Wall from Daredevil, we all got the same birthday.
It's a good birthday.
Yeah, it's pretty strong. And Wes Borland from Limp Bizkit. We're killing the game.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
I just got Zac Efron and Barry
that's pretty good. And, was the second one Derek Chauvin?
No, Barry Keoghan.
Oh, that's much different.
Yeah, from Saltburn. Yeah.
Oh, Saltburn.
We were born on the exact same day, same year, and everything.
Oh wow, that's pretty cool. And that's October, right?
Yep, October 18th.
Yeah, because you're like a Halloween birthday because you're spooky, and I'm a almost Valentine's Day birthday because I'm a lover at heart. Let's go with that. Okay, and then one other thing I wanted to mention is a listener brought it to my attention that last week we didn't even talk about Saturday Night Live at all, which is that's pretty good for me. And part of the reason is because the last episode, it was Josh Brolin was the guest host, and he did a fine job. It wasn't there wasn't anything that really angered me too much. There was a couple funny sketches, but there was nothing that really stood out to me as being like sort of infuriating. It was just kind of standard fare. but I did want to bring up that they were off this week, and their next episode is going to be the last Saturday of the month, and the guest host for Saturday Night Live on the next episode is going to be Rami Youssef, if you're familiar.
Oh, from
Yeah,
Poor Thing. Yes.
correct. Yes, so he's from
My
the
background.
yes, exactly. That's why I brought it up, is because I knew that,
Yes.
and we could talk about Poor Things later because I think we're going to talk about Oscars and stuff a little later.
Yep.
But yeah, so I just wanted, because I knew that kind of tied together, so I wanted to bring that up. I got to find my way to get SNL in there at all times, you know.
Have you seen his show Rami ever?
I haven't, but I've heard like about it. It's like been on my list of shows like to watch, but I never got around to watching it. I heard it's like really
It's
good.
pretty good. Yeah,
Yeah,
I think you'd like it.
yeah. I heard it. Yeah, I've heard that. I've seen like little bits of his stand up and stuff here and there. And but yeah, so speaking of stand up comedy, I think that's a good transition. Kai, how
It
was
was a
your
great
weekend?
transition.
Kai, how was your weekend? Did you do anything exciting this weekend?
Yeah, I did. Speaking of stand-up, I hosted three shows at Comedy at the Carlson. It was supposed to be five, but a couple of them got canceled.
Oh, I
They had
see.
to go up against St. Patrick's Day weekend, so it
I
was
see. I see. So
uphill
instead of
battle.
doing 2 Saturdays, they did one Saturday.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So you did
Mhm.
3 shows this weekend, and who are you opening for?
I was opening for Sahib Singh.
Sahib Singh. He's really funny, actually. I've seen some of his
He's
clips.
so funny.
And so
Yeah.
you were hosting, right?
Yes. And the feature was this guy, Eric Asker. I had never heard of him, but he was pretty funny too.
Nice. So that's like, so you're hosting at the comedy club in town, the major like comedy club, and that's actually a
Mm.
gig I've never done. I've never actually hosted at a comedy club. I've done guest spots, I've featured for people at alt shows, but I've never really done the hosting at a club, which is like a whole other thing in itself. You have you've done this before, right? You've hosted at comedy clubs.
Yeah, I've hosted a few times at the Carlson. It's it's very interesting. Like I prefer to like feature or do a guest spot. It's so much more just like low key. Hosting is so much pressure.
Right, because you're also kind of working in other ways other than just doing comedy. You kind of have to like you have to, yeah, you have to do the housekeeping kind of stuff and talk about there's certain points that you have to talk about that to run the room in the show, kind of, because you have supposed to have like a
Yeah.
control over the whole room for the evening.
Yeah, I'm pretty much the audience's babysitter.
Yeah. So that's super cool. I've done like multiple shows in a weekend, like featuring for somebody. So I've had the experience where you sort of see what the crowd is like or what the comic that you're opening for is like, kind of make some adjustments. But I've usually, when I've done that, I've featured for people that I know and familiar with. This was like your first time. What was his name again? Sorry, the guy you opened for?
Sahib Singh.
Sahib, that's it, right? Sahib. So you opened for
Yeah.
Sahib, and you had never met him before, right?
No, I had never met him. He never heard of me, but we got along great. It's funny because sometimes when you're hosting, like the comics turn out to be douchebags or just like not people you vibe with, or even you don't like their stand up. But
Mm.
luckily, Sahib was super sweet. Like we got along great. As soon as he came in, it was like we were friends. Like we were hanging out after the show. Normally, the guys who come to the club don't want to hang out with me afterwards.
Mm. Yeah. And so you did what, Thursday, Friday, Saturday?
Yes.
Yeah. So what was that like? Did you have to kind of make adjustments like from the first day to the second day, the third day, as you kind of got to know the comic a little more, or the crowd that was kind of coming in, or what's that like?
Yeah, so I didn't know what his crowds would be like. The first day was I was kind of nervous because I hadn't hosted in a while. Like I'd been at the Carlson recently, but not as a host. It was as a feature or
Mm.
a guest spot. And hosting is just like, a completely different mindset. I'm not used to going first at all and having to come out to a cold crowd. So the first show was kind of like training wheels. But then after that, like, because me and Sahib and Eric as well had like such a great rapport, we were basically like friends by the time the second show came up. So it was just like fun.
Nice. Yeah, that's cool. That's a good feeling. And Sahib is he's Indian American comic, and he's from Baltimore, I think, right? That's where he got his start.
Yes.
And I seen one of his clips online before. It's really funny. I think it's one of his like kind of staple jokes because it's like about his identity. But he's a Indian American, but he's adopted by
Yes.
another other Indian family. Like,
I love
uh,
that joke so much.
yeah, it's a really funny bit that because it's yeah. He's Indian and then was adopted by another Indian family. Yeah, so it's in Baltimore and started stand up there and is kind of I think yeah gotten much more popular in the last several years and that's cool. And yeah, so you had a good time then and shows went well.
Yeah, the shows were amazing. So fun. If any of you get the chance to see Sahib, go for it. He's hilarious.
Yeah, I think he's on tour around the country. I saw he's got a bunch of other show dates around, and I saw you
Yep.
posted
And
something on Facebook. I think I saw you post about did like a stranger come up to you, like came up to you at your show? Was that this weekend?
so there was this guy I kind of bullied in the audience, and he turned out to be TikTok famous. So people were like getting on me about that, but I had never
Oh,
heard of him.
I see. So you did some crowd work, and the guy happened to be like
Yeah.
some TikTok guy.
Yeah, he was sitting directly in front of the stage, and then as I was bringing Sahib up, he like got up and started walking away. And I was like, "Where are you going? The headliner's coming up now." And he's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry," and like sat down. He's like, "I have to pee, but I'll just hold it." So he just like held his pee for an hour. And I told him afterwards, I was like, "You did not have to do that. I was just fucking with you."
That's funny. That's yeah, I had seen something about that. Yeah, yeah, that's funny because there's people in the. I saw some people in the comments. They knew who both of those people were and stuff. That's cool. So I'm glad you had a good time. Do you know when do you have a next show on the books or anything coming up?
Yeah, I have a show April 6th at the Carlson. It's called Jake's Comedy Jukebox. So I'm going to be singing as well as telling jokes.
Oh wow, that's the one from Jake Morrison, right? Jake Morrison is the Jake
Yes.
of Jake's Comedy Jukebox, and that's a very funny
Yes.
comic from Buffalo, and they're coming to Rochester and doing the show at the club in town in Rochester, right? And that's what you
Yep.
say, April 8th?
April 6th.
April 6th, sorry, and that's a Friday?
Yeah, so that's a Saturday, I
Oh,
think, or a
Saturday.
Friday. I don't know.
Yeah, that would April 6th, look it up. 4-6. If you're in the Western New York area, come see Kai VonDoom and a bunch of other folk on that show. And also, you're always posting when you have shows and stuff on social media. So if anyone wants to come see you do stand up that's in the area, they could just look up Kai on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, wherever you'll find some show dates. Yeah. So
Yes.
uh other than performing all weekend and doing these shows and hosting and stuff, did you get any time for TV?
I had to watch the Love is Blind finale,
Okay, good. I was hoping
the
so.
reunion,
The reunion
actually.
because I
Yes,
for sure did not watch it, but I do want to know what happened. So I'm like, I don't need to watch it. I just have Kai tell me every week.
exactly. I'll give you the important tea. There's couples on there that are boring. Who cares? You don't need to watch them. So the couple that everyone's been talking about this season is Clay and AD because the whole time, like Clay has been telling AD, I'm scared that I'm going to cheat on you.
Oh, right, this couple. I
Yeah.
remember now.
And so it gets down to they're at the altar and he tells her, he's like telling her, "You're my best friend. I love you. I could see you as my wife. I see you with me for the rest of my life," but still says, "I cannot marry you."
Oh no.
Yes, at the altar in front of all her family, in front of all his family. She's crying, but there was an unexpectedly really sweet moment for this season because this season has just been very messy. But there's a moment with Clay's mother and father because the whole time Clay would say, I think I'm going to cheat on you because my father always cheated on my mom. He would bring
Oh,
me with him when he was going to cheat. So it was like a big thing. So Clay's mom tells him, I found out from the filming of this show that some things that I didn't know, some kind of hurt all over again. And she's like, we obviously did not work out. We tried because the father tried to. He's a playboy like his son, so he's like,
They had
Clay
been
just needs to find a
separate
woman.
before the show, though, right? Like his parents, Clay's parents. The show didn't break them up. They were
Well,
broken
no,
up
they were
before the show.
separated for a long
Yeah,
time.
long time. Yeah,
So that was Clay's fear, was that he was going to cheat and lose his wife
I
like his
see.
dad did. Yeah.
I see.
So the dad tells the mom, like, Clay just needs to find a woman like you. And Clay's mom goes, you had a woman like me, but you were not good to me.
Mm.
And it's like, that was like the standout moment of the season. And she tells him, look, your son is fucked up because of you, because of your actions. He has this woman that he loves. He left her at the altar because he's scared he's going to be like you. You need to talk to him and apologize to him.
Yeah, he molded this fucked up piece of clay.
Yeah.
See what I did there? Yeah.
I see what you did.
Uh-huh.
So at the reunion, the hosts are, which I left this out somehow the whole time, but the host of the show is Nick Lachey from 98 Degrees. I don't know if
Oh
you know
yeah, that's right. You mean Mrs.
that.
Jessica Simpson? Or
Yes.
former Mrs. or current or former? I don't know. Are they still
Former. He's
former?
married to Vanessa. I forgot her former last name, Vanessa,
Yeah,
who was
that's right.
like
Vanessa
a host on
Lachey.
MTV.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. That's right. She co-hosts the show with him too, right?
Yes. Yeah.
I
So
see.
Nick and Vanessa asked Clay, like, have you gotten that apology from your dad? And Clay just gave the typical, no, not really, but I went and got therapy. So now I'm ready. I made a mistake. I fucked up. AD, take me back.
This is after he left her because he left her at the altar in the last one, and then now it's the reunion.
Yes.
And so I see, right, right.
Yes.
So that's what he did.
Yep.
He left her,
So
yeah. So he's trying now. He's shooting his shot again.
yeah, and the reunion is a year after the weddings took
Oh, right.
place. So a year later, he's like, "Yeah, I got therapy. I'm fixed. Take me back."
I see. Has he been like seen her since then, or this is the first time they've seen each other since then, or does they really
I
say?
think it's the first time they've seen each other.
What'd she say to his shot?
Well, her mouth was saying, "No, I don't believe you. It's going to take time," but I could tell by her body language she was ready to
Mm,
go. She was with it.
I see. Yeah, the last year probably didn't yeah work out great for her maybe either.
Yeah, no, she's single, ready to mingle.
Oh wow. So they're gonna give it a try. Do they bring back people for reunion shows like again after this? Like, will they get another follow up in another season?
Well, they don't have like another season, but they did have couples from former seasons at this year's
That's what I
reunion,
meant. Yeah. So
which
in like
they
another
typically
season
don't
down the
do.
line. I oh that's a new thing.
Yep.
I see. How was that?
It was interesting to see which couples, all the couples that are married are pretty much still together. So
Hmm.
it was nice to see them. Some of them are like having babies now and
So
stuff,
the
like
show worked for
real
some
families
people.
from the show. Yeah.
That's
The
wild.
first
Another,
season seemed to
not so
be pretty
much.
genuine.
What season is this? The second or no? There's more than that, right?
This is like the sixth.
Yeah, that's what I thought. It's been on for a minute.
Mm.
Yeah. And the fake Megan Fox and the toe face guy, they didn't work out, right?
No, they're not together.
Right. So they didn't even do it at the wedding, right?
No, they broke up before the altar.
Right, right. And so are they on the reunion show then, or just like the couples that did
Well,
it?
no. So typically they just have the couples, but this year they had a lot of the like single people who had like drama outside of the show come back.
Mm.
So there was this guy named Trevor. He was exposed for coming on the show and having like a girlfriend. So his girlfriend was posting the DMs, and he's in the DMs telling her, this show is fake. I don't care about any of these people. I can't wait to come home and marry you. So they straight up played his text messages on the show, which on the
Like
reunion
on this
show.
most recent one or in the
Yeah.
past? Oh wow.
No, this recent one. Yeah. So they played his text messages. They were like, what do you have to say about this? Did you come on the show for fame and clout, or were you for real trying to find love? And so he says the most fuckboy answer he could have possibly given. He was like, yes, those texts are real. I did tell that girl I was going to marry her after the show, but at the same time, she knew what it was. I never called her my girlfriend.
Wow. Bold. A bold. What was this guy's
Yeah.
name?
Trevor, of course.
Oh, I see. What does he look like? A Trevor?
He does look like a Trevor.
Yeah, I know some
I was
Trevors.
very triggered by that segment.
How long was this reunion show? Like a 2-hour special or something?
It was like an hour, hour and a
Oh,
half.
okay. Yeah. No, not live this time, right?
No, they are probably never doing that again.
I see. So then Love is Blind is done for now then?
Yep, unfortunately, it's over for the season.
I see. So there won't be new Love is Blind until there's a new season and they'll start back at the pods.
Yeah.
Is it
Well,
usually
they
like
do
one
have this. Oh, what'd you say?
Oh, I was saying, is it usually once a year that they do a season, or will there be another one before the end of the year probably?
No, it'll be another one because the first season came out in 2020 and they're already on
I see.
season
Yeah.
six.
So they
Yeah.
want to, yeah, because I was gonna say, because that live thing was less than a year ago. That whole live debacle, I think, was last
Yeah.
summer, right? So
Yeah, it
they already
was.
did another season since then. So yeah, they'll probably start one up in the summer then.
I can't wait.
We'll see. Yeah, I can't wait to learn about it secondhand. That's the best way to learn about reality television, I think.
There is a show that Netflix has called Perfect Match where they have people from other Netflix reality shows, not even just dating shows. So it would be like
Mm.
people from Too Hot to Handle, Love is Blind,
All in the
The
Netflix world,
Circle.
though.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
all
like a
those
super
Netflix
group.
reality shows. Yeah, so it's a dating show with all of them, and that's interesting to see.
I see. And what's that one called? Perfect
Perfect
Match.
Match.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like they like to do that in reality where they bring in people from past shows. I think that's like what that show Traders is. I've not really seen it, but it's kind of they have villains from all these different shows and you
Oh
bring in the
yeah.
characters from other shows in the
Yeah.
past. Yeah, yeah. So they sort of have a uh everyone has a multiverse now, you know, even in reality shows. Uh yeah. So yeah, maybe we could switch from the small screen to the big screen. What do we think?
Let's do it.
Yeah, so when we recorded last time, it was the morning of, I think, so we just missed it. But uh, last week, they had the 96th Academy Awards, the Oscars.
Yes.
Did you watch the Oscars?
I watched bits and pieces. I saw Ryan Gosling's musical number, which
Yeah,
I honestly loved.
with Slash, right?
Yes.
Hmm. Gotta love Slash and yeah, and Ryan Gosling. I heard they like went all out. I saw like a bits and pieces of it. I in fact did not watch the Oscars at all,
Okay.
and I haven't in fact seen most of the movies, but that's not gonna stop me from discussing it.
No, you should still have opinions, even
I
if you
have
know absolutely
opinions.
nothing about it.
Yes. I always have opinions. um Yeah, so that's pretty cool. I heard like the ceremony itself was kind of I don't know. I heard little bits and pieces about it from, Jimmy Kimmel hosting, Al Pacino coming out and announcing Best Picture without reading any of the nominees. That was like a thing that happened. He just came out
Yep.
and was like Oppenheimer. And then that was it, right?
Yeah.
So I guess maybe let's start there. Did you see Oppenheimer?
Oh yeah, I watched Oppenheimer in theaters.
Yeah, you like Cillian Murphy a lot, don't you?
Oh yeah, I'm a big Killian fangirl. People got
Yeah.
mad at me because the day I watched Oppenheimer, I and this is gonna be probably the grossest thing I will ever say on this show, but immediately after watching it, I said the movie Oppenheimer was revisionist history. I should not want to slurp up J. Robert Oppenheimer. I feel like that's disrespectful.
Yeah, he is a very hot man.
Someone
I will
slightly
give him
uglier.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, he's very hot. People say he's weird looking. I'm like, no, he's not.
No, he's pretty.
Yeah, dudes like to say that about pretty guys. They like to say that they're weird looking and stuff, but I'm like, no, that's a hot man. That's what you're looking
Yes.
at. Yeah, yeah. I in fact did not see Oppenheimer. I meant to. I saw Barbie instead. It is really long. Um,
It is
so
very long.
yeah, we got what 10 Best Picture nominees this year because they changed that in like 15 years ago. They expanded it to the 10 nominees.
Mhm.
Um, so I'll go down and I'll tell you what I did and didn't see real quick. Oppenheimer did not see. American Fiction did not see. Anatomy of a Fall did not see.
Mhm.
Barbie, I saw that. The Holdovers, I didn't see that. Killers of the Flower Moon, I saw that. Maestro, Past Lives, Poor Things, Zone of Interest, I did not see. So I should have just said I saw Killers of the Flower Moon and I saw Barbie. That's it.
Okay. So I saw those. I saw Oppenheimer. I saw Past
Nice.
Lives. What
Poor
was, I
Things.
don't even know what,
Did
I
you
saw
see?
Poor Things, obviously.
Did you see
I
Maestro?
don't even know what Anatomy of a Fall is. Like, I've
Me
never heard
neither.
of that one. There's always a few that I've never heard of.
Yeah.
Zone of Interest, I want to see, but
Yeah,
yeah,
I
it's
can't
seeing
remember a lot about. I don't know much about what that is, but
the Zone of Interest.
that's the World
That's
War II
the
film.
Nazi one.
Yeah, Holocaust
Yeah.
movie, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Maestro. Maybe I'll see. I do like Bradley Cooper kind of, but um, what was the other one? I had something else written down I wanted to talk about here under Best Picture, but I'm trying to figure out which movie it was because I didn't see it. Uh, but yeah. So did you see American Fiction?
Oh yes, American Fiction was fantastic.
I
You
want
should
to see
watch it for
that
sure.
one. That's one I want to see for sure. Um, I want to see. You talked about it last week. Past Lives. In
Yes.
part because
Beautiful movie.
it has one of my favorite 27 percenters in it, which you made a post. You shared this post this week. Do you remember about the
Yes,
27
I was
percenters?
gonna tell you we should talk about that next week.
Oh,
We
okay.
should
We'll
do
talk
our
about
top 3 27 percenters, even
We'll get
though
to that later
I
then. Okay,
yeah.
cool. But it has what
Okay.
the guy who's in. We talked about him last week. I forgot his name again already. He's the in Past Lives, the white guy, John Madro.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. He's one of my favorite actors. I like him a lot. He's really great. Um, yeah, and yeah. So I didn't see most of those movies, but so how do you feel about Oppenheimer winning Best Picture? Because you saw probably at least like 6 or 7 of the Best Picture nominees.
yes, I think Oppenheimer was I think it was deserving. I wanted Killers of the Flower Moon or Past Lives to win, but if they had to lose, I'm glad it was to Oppenheimer and not Barbie.
Yeah, yeah. I think if it was still when they only did 5 nominees, Barbie would have been one of the 5 that wasn't nominated. Like that, it
Yeah,
was extended to 10 nominees so they could nominate movies like Barbie. That's the whole point.
yeah,
Because before it was too, like, yeah, they never nominated any movies that anybody saw. That was kind of
yeah.
the problem. Um,
Mhm.
I did kind of want to talk about the acting awards a little bit.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's a few things I wanted to bring up as well. Well, one
Yeah,
main point for
go
the
ahead.
acting nominees. Okay, so I have to say Divine Joy Randolph was only the 10th Black woman to win Best Supporting Actress of the 96 years that these awards have been going on. Only the 10th. The Best Supporting Actress actually has the most Black winners of any acting category. There have only been 23
Right.
acting awards handed out to Black actors in the entirety of the Oscars.
Yeah, and a majority of them are for Best Supporting Actress.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. And so that's the one point you brought up is basically the 2 points I was going to break. 2 things I was going to talk about. Which is I didn't see The Holdovers. I really want to see it, but yeah, Davine Joy Randolph won for Best Supporting Actress, and I personally thought she should have won Best Supporting Actress like 3 years ago, and that was for the movie My Name is Dolomite. Did you see My Name is
Yes.
Dolomite?
Oh, she was fantastic in that movie.
Phenomenal movie. I
She,
loved that movie, and it got snubbed completely at the Oscars because the Oscars don't like comedies in general.
exactly. That's something I was going to bring up as well, but not to talk about Davine. It was to talk about Actually, the first Oscar for a Godzilla movie was handed out.
Oh,
This Godzilla minus one got best special effects.
special effects,
And
right?
yes, genre movies are still so disrespected at the Oscars. Comedies, horror, sci-fi. There have been
Hmm.
so many, just especially in the last few years, amazing movies, Godzilla minus one included, that have just blown me out of the water and just completely disrespected by the Oscars. Like there should have
Yeah,
been some acting nominees for that Godzilla movie. Like it was that
I haven't seen it yet, but I've
beautiful.
heard this. Yes. Um,
It's one of the best movies I've ever seen. So
I
I'm
see.
glad it got the special effects, but it's just like it's not even considered because it's a sci-fi movie. And like you said,
Right.
Dolomite is My Name was an amazing movie.
Eddie
Amazing.
Murphy should have been nominated
Eddie Murphy
for
was
sure.
phenomenal.
It's like one of his best movies he's made in 30 years. Like
Yeah.
it's and
Yeah.
is so underrated and nobody like because nobody talked about it as much and it should have been getting all this awards buzz, but it didn't. Of course, it gets Black awards buzz, the Image Awards and all that stuff because, but then the white mainstream is going to ignore it. But
Aside
um,
from you, I don't even know anyone else who's seen it.
My Name, yeah, and it's like it's Eddie Murphy and it's about one of the like biggest things from the 70s. Like it should
Mhm.
that movie should have been huge. Should have been a huge
It
movie,
should have
but
been, yeah.
yeah, but yeah, so that's the one thing I have that I know Davine Joy Brandoff from, and she was great in that. So I definitely want to see the
Oh,
holdovers. The
yeah. You should
holdovers.
see High Fidelity with Zoe Kravitz, the High
Oh,
Fidelity TV show.
she's in the TV show. Okay, I didn't see
Yes.
that yet, but I know they made it. But I'll have to check that out.
Mhm.
Um, and so yeah, the holdovers. I think that's the Alexander Payne one, right? Yeah, it is. It's
Yes.
Alexander Payne's the director. He does like a lot of those kind of
Hmm.
movies and stuff. Um, but I specifically wanted to talk about the best supporting actress thing, and like you had said, that's the award that the majority of times like that Black women get nominated for. It has the majority of the nominations that Black women have are for best supporting actress, and it's not
Yeah,
just
not even
Black
just Black
women.
women, Black people in general.
Yeah, Black people, right,
Yeah.
right, Black people, but then also women of color are, and
Yeah.
not just Black women, but women of color of all kinds are almost
Mhm.
always relegated to the best supporting actress category
Yeah.
and rarely ever get nominated for best lead actress.
Which is
And
why I
certainly
wanted
don't
Lily Gladstone to win so
correct,
bad.
which is actually I got to remember where I heard this or read this, but it's actually why Lily Gladstone was nominated for Best Lead Actress. Because if you've seen the movie, it's kind of on the fence. She could have been the Best Supporting Actress as well,
Mhm.
but I think part of I can't remember if it was, yeah, I think it was Lily's. Um either her or her people or the movie. I can't remember where it's coming from, but they chose to nominate her for or to put her for consideration for Best Lead Actress because it is so much more significant. Like it's the first
Yeah.
time, like Best Supporting Actress is the only category that they ever give to Black women or Native women, people of color. That's where they're
Yeah.
always put. It's like, oh, you could be supporting, you're a side character. But it was a really
Mhm.
a statement for Lily Gladstone, the first Indigenous woman to be nominated for Best Lead Actress, where we're not
Yeah.
just like, and there's some significance and some weight to that and some reasons by it. And
Yeah,
I,
that's why I
I
was pissed off that people were like complaining about Margot Robbie not being nominated. It's like, who cares? Let's talk about
right.
the important things here.
Yeah, and Emma Stone won for Best Actress for Poor Things, which I didn't see, so I can't knock it. And I do love Emma Stone; she's a fantastic
It was
actress.
deserved.
Yeah,
It was deserved. She deserved it. But I would have liked to see Lily Gladstone win.
yeah, um, for sure. And yeah, because I mean, like I said, Emma Stone is great, but they love like this is her second Oscar. She's been nominated like 4 times. We
Yeah, and
know
she'll be
that she's
nominated
great.
again.
Yeah, and
And
yeah,
we
I
don't
mean,
know
I do
that
love
Lily or
her.
any, yeah,
Yeah, yeah, we don't know that Lily will be nominated again. She
or
wasn't
any native actress.
right. Although we have been seeing a lot more indigenous roles lately, but you
Mhm.
know, we'll see how long that trend lasts and if they're just going to be like, oh, well, we nominated Lily Gladstone one time, so you should be happy. Shut up and take it, kind of thing. There's something else that Lily Gladstone was in that I can't figure out what it is now. She had I see. She was in this movie, oh, right, First Cow, which stars John Majereau from Past Lives. So she's in a movie with him. That was like one of her first roles that she got noticed for. But yeah, because I knew I'd written that down. Yeah. Yeah, I think that was all my thoughts on the Oscars that I didn't watch. Oh wait, one more thing. We only got a couple minutes, so we got to take our break here. But best song, I just want to say, yeah, Billie Eilish won for Barbie. That's cool and all, but everyone knows that award should have been gone to Jack Black, which he wasn't even nominated for Peaches from the Mario Brothers movie. It's the best song of the year. Everyone loves it. Children sing it. It broke through the cultural zeitgeist as a song in a movie. Everybody knows it. No one knows this. You can't just sing the Barbie songs, But everyone.
Yeah, I feel like I'm Just Ken, maybe.
Yeah,
but
that one. Yeah, that's
that
true.
would have made more sense to me. Yeah.
Yeah, they just wanted to give Billie Eilish the Oscar, I think, as part of it, and which is fine.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you have any other thoughts on the Oscars?
No, that's all. That's all
Did
I
you
had.
see The Boy and the Heron?
No, surprisingly, I haven't.
Yeah, I haven't seen it yet either, so I can't comment on that. There's some people are debating over whether it should have been Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse or The Boy and the Heron. Yeah, so neither of us saw it, so let's not weigh in on that one. All right, then. I guess it is now time to take a break, and then we're gonna be back in a second and discuss our top 3 this week, which is gonna be top 3 women vocalists, right?
Yep.
All right. Well, sounds good. We will talk to all y'all soon. All right. Welcome back from that break, which I took a break. Kai took a break. I don't know if you took a break or not. You maybe just sat there for another 20 seconds listening to our little jingle, waiting to come back. So it was something of a break, you could say, here on Something of a Podcast. And that's sort of something of a running joke around here. Yeah. So we're gonna talk about our top 3 women vocalists. But before we get to that, we had a comment on YouTube that I wanted to share about our last week's topic, which was top 3 films directed by women. And so on YouTube, we got a comment again from our pal Paper Mache Heart, and they wrote, "As always, I'm going to list my top 3 before watching your episode so I don't get swayed by possibly better choices. But first, honorable mentions. American Psycho, which we talked about.
Yep.
Matrix Filmology, which we talked about.
Yep.
Pet Cemetery, which we didn't.
Oh, yes.
Jennifer's Body.
Jennifer's Body was on my short list.
Yes. And yeah, okay. And then, but those were the honorable mentions. Then the top 3 were Big from Penny Marshall, 1988, which we talked about. The second one, though, this is the real thing I'm most excited about that Paper Mache Heart mentioned, was Tu Wong Fu, Thanks for Everything.
Oh, yes.
Directed by Beeban Kidron, which I was not very familiar with the director, but I'm very familiar with that film, which is, we could do a whole conversation about that, but just, that's great. And then the other one was But I'm a Cheerleader, directed by Jamie Babbitt.
Yes.
So
that was my awakening.
Yeah. So those are some iconic films, and that was what they commented before they listened to us. So that's pretty on point. They had a lot of the same choices we did, and then some really choice ones that we hadn't talked about. So that's a great comment. Thank you for that, Paper Mache Heart.
Yes,
Yeah,
great taste in movies.
yeah. That's you're in the right place. So, without further ado, we should dive into this week's topic. We're going to try to play some music here too. It's something of a work in progress. But we're doing our top 3 women vocalists. Yeah. Would you like to go first, or would you like me to go first, Kai?
I'll go first.
Okay.
All right. So yeah, let me send you the clip. I'll just get it in the chat now while I talk about it.
Okay, cool.
But I picked polystyrene from X-Ray Specs. So yes,
Interesting.
she's British in a punk band. She's like one of my favorites. Obviously, I grew up listening to punk rock, so to have like a Black woman in one of my favorite bands is like super important to me growing up. And their music is just good. Her voice is very sweet, but still, got that like rage to it that I really enjoy. So the clip I'm gonna send you is of like their most popular song. Are you familiar with the band X-Ray
I've
Specs?
heard of X-Ray Specs, but I am not familiar with their music or their singer. What was her name? I'm gonna write this down so I got it.
Yep, polystyrene. I'll also spell it out in
Polystyrene.
the
I've
chat.
heard of that. Yes. Okay. And I've heard of X-Ray Specs, but I'm punk adjacent, but I don't know a lot about punk music. We're gonna have very different lists today. This is great.
Yeah, I tried to pick and do this every week, but I tried to pick things that I did not think you would say. So
I
we'll
see.
see.
Yeah, and you kind of know my musical taste. Okay, I think you're sending me a link, right?
Yes.
Oh, cool. I just got it. So I'm opening this link, and then I'm gonna play it for like a minute or 30 seconds. We could keep talking because we're gonna put the sound in after. I'll be quiet while we play it, but Um, so I have mine queued up. Are you ready?
Yep.
All right.
Little girls should be seen and not heard. Oh, bondage of you! 1, 2, 3, 4!
Okay. All right, that's taking about like a minute. I'm gonna pause it. Wow, holy shit, that's cool as hell. I've heard that song. Like it sounds familiar, but I said I haven't listened to tons of like punk. But when did that come out? That's cool as hell. She's got some pipes.
Yeah, they came out in like the 80s. So the
80s.
story of
Okay.
how she got started as a punk singer was she actually went to a Sex Pistols concert and was just like, I could do better. And went out and did it. I could relate to that, going and seeing like a white boy do something and be like, nah, I could do better.
Yeah. At some point we'll have to talk about the whole Black history of punk, which is like a
Oh
whole thing that's often overlooked. I know that much at least, from the Bad Brains and other stuff like that. So I don't know a lot about it, but so maybe in the future you could educate me more about that kind of stuff. It'd be cool.
yeah,
But yeah, that's
definitely.
a great choice. I'm gonna have to check out X-Ray Specs for sure and polystyrene.
Yep.
Yep. All right. So without further ado, I'm gonna move on to. Or do you have anything else to say, or should I do my first choice?
You can do your first choice.
Okay. So my first choice, I'm not exaggerating when I say not only is she the greatest woman vocalist of all time, she is perhaps the greatest singer of all time, the greatest performer of all time, the greatest rock and roll singer of all time, the greatest disco singer of all time, the greatest pop singer of all time. She is just the GOAT in every way, shape, or form. And I, of course, am talking about none other than the queen of rock and roll, Tina Turner. You could probably maybe have guessed me saying that, but you're familiar with Tina Turner, of course. I can't hear you now, suddenly. Oh, there you are. Yeah.
You hear me now? Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of echoey, but I could hear you.
Oh, yeah, I put on headphones, so
Oh,
I could listen to the music, yeah.
yeah, I can't, it's really hard to hear what you're saying, but you could hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. It's a little better. Okay. Yeah, so Tina Turner, yeah, suppose oh right, so Tina Turner, my all-time favorite. I mean, what is there to say about Tina Turner that hasn't already been said, you know? And I've been obsessed with Tina Turner long before she passed away, which unfortunately was recently. In fact, when the Queen of England died last year, I said, the Queen didn't die. She is alive and well in Switzerland with her husband, Erwin Bach, because I was talking about Tina Turner. And so just to be brief, as brief as I can, is Tina Turner is fantastic all through the decades. Her entire life, from as early as 1960 up until now, and each decade had a different almost style, and she constantly kind of reinvented and was relevant. Like her early stuff in the 1960s with Ike, which Ike is a terrible human being. Fuck that guy completely. But some of the stuff that they did in the early 60s was cool as hell. Like, when they were doing River Deep, Mountain High, and, Rollin' and all that stuff. I would tell anyone listening, if you want to see the best of that era, you need to look up them live on Playboy After Dark. So it's Ike and Tina Turner, and the Ikeettes, Tina and her little gold number, shaking it up. And it is just phenomenal. It's live in the Playboy Mansion on TV, like back in the 60s, and it's so cool. But my favorite era of Tina Turner is from 1977 to 1985. So 1977 is just after she escaped Ike, right? So she gets out of being in this horrific relationship with this terrible man that she's been in since she was basically a child, like a teenage girl. And she puts out 2 albums that didn't actually do that well, her first 2 solo albums, because they were more disco albums, right? And I really like disco. So between the late 70s up to 85, Tina was touring relentlessly and performing relentlessly, but was completely not at the level of fame and success that she was when she was before, or the level that she would be at. It was when she was probably like at her most like of a starving artist, kind of trying to get back up there. But she was playing this blend of rock and roll and disco that no one has ever come close to like recapturing. And it's my favorite era of Tina Turner. And then, of course, in 85 is when What's Love Got to Do With It came out. And then she launched to superstardom as more of this pop singer. And then after that, Angela Bassett movie came out in the early 90s. And then it's like Simply the Best era, which, so starting out playing like rock and roll with Ike, and then doing disco and rock, and then becoming this sort of pop singer-ish in the 80s into the 90s, and becoming an icon for kind of like not just like women everywhere, but particularly what they would call older women at the time, because she was still pumping out these hits when she was into her 40s or 50s or 60s, and is kind of an icon in that. She her duets or her collaborations with the Rolling Stones and David Bowie, and just I just love Tina Turner. How do you feel about Tina Turner?
Oh, I feel exactly the same. I'm obsessed with her. she's an icon. Ever since I saw her in a Mad Max movie, I was
Yes,
obsessed as a
correct.
child.
Yes, she's in the Mad Max movie. I don't know how I forgot to mention that. And they there's that 2-part HBO documentary, I think it is, that came out in the last couple of years. It's really, really good. I recommend watching that. And I do have a short clip I wanted to share with you. It's a particular song. Hold on. And this is going to be off of her 1977 album called Rough, which is right in that underrated time period I was telling you about, of when she was critically doing it, but she wasn't, like, it was that in-between period after after the Ike and Tina Turner review and before What's Love Got to Do With It came out. Like before that, like, so that, you know what I'm talking about? So it was before she became a big pop star again. And yeah. Yeah, okay. So I'm gonna play it for like just a minute. You got the clip? Yeah, so this song is called Root Toot Undisputable Rock and Roller. It's I can't tell how far you are, but I just want to play to like through the first chorus or whatever. But Root to Rock and Roll, it's like that shows the kind of sound that that era of Tina I love. It's like where it's just this perfect like rock and roll with piano and like the whole, like, that's the best kind of rock and roll. And she's just got the best voice for it. She kills, and she's hot as hell too. Yeah, so that's Tina Turner. Rest in peace.
I had actually never heard that song before.
Yeah,
I dig it.
Yeah, but that sort of sound is like that era of Tina I love. And yeah, so I think you're up next.
Yep. So for my next two, again, I tried to do ones that I thought that you would not pick. So these are not necessarily my top three, but these are three that are important to me, kind of shaped my musical taste. So the next one is Hayley Williams of Paramore.
I see.
So as a Black girl growing up in the hood who listened to an eclectic taste of music, a lot of times, you know, people would say, why you listen to that white girl music? Why you listen to white girl music all the time? And, you know, of course I would be that annoying kid who's like, actually, Black people invented rock and roll, but
right.
Which is, I mean, true. But that didn't stop them for still saying I listen to white girl music. However, I noticed that the hood loves Paramore. I have a few theories on why, but they love Paramore. I could be listening to like death metal and someone would be like, oh, what's this white people shit you listen to? I fuck with Paramore though. Like any hood you go to, they fuck with Paramore. Because Hayley Williams, she does have a more soulful voice than a lot of the like emo bands that were coming out. And there was a song actually where they had like a gospel choir in the background.
I see.
Yeah, niggas love a gospel choir. So I will send you that song now.
Cool.
I also love her orange hair, and when I was a teenager, I would dye my hair bright red or orange or burgundy all the time. So I felt a connection to her there.
Yeah, that's a great choice. She's, I know, extremely important to many, many, many people. I know, like our whole generation, particularly anyone that sort of felt like a little alt or different, like as a young woman or whatever. She was your voice, you know. I'm loading it right now. It's loading. On December 2nd, Paramore set out to break the most world records in a music video. I don't think I've heard this song.
I don't mind letting you down easy, but just give it time. If it don't hurt now, but just wait a while. Another big fish in the pond, no more. You are what they're feeding on. So what are you gonna do when the world don't orbit around you? Ain't it fun?
I made it through like the first chorus, which is, yeah, I may have heard that song, but that's a good one. Wow, that like the chorus sounded a little more familiar, but yeah, you're right. That really shows her voice too. She could sing. She's got some pipes.
Oh yeah.
That's cool as hell. Yeah, and I get what you're saying about picking three. You know, I kind of, well, I didn't do that because yeah. Anything else about Paramore before I go into my next one?
No, you could go for it.
Hayley Williams, right? That's her name. Hayley
Yes.
Williams. Yeah. Yeah, she's super cool. The iconic orange hair. Yeah, Paramore rules. I'm glad you brought that one up. But so my next choice for top 3 female women singers of of all time, both my last choice and this choice are 100% my 1 and 2, not necessarily in that order, but these are my 2 for sure. And my third, I kind of picked between a number of like different artists, which one I wanted to like talk about, right? But my number 2, not number 2, but my second pick, I'm not even sure. I don't know if you're super familiar with her, but my second choice for the list is Lady Nicole Ray. If you know, or
no.
Nicole Lady Ray. Sorry, Lady Ray is her more recent stage name, but it used to be Nicole Ray. So really briefly, I'll tell you all about Nicole Lady Ray. So Nicole Ray, age 18 or teenager, young girl, discovered by Missy Elliott and was signed by Missy Elliott in like the late 90s, 98, something like that, and put out a R&B pop album called Make It Hot, which was like, it was kind of almost like a one-hit kind of thing back in the late 90s, right around that time, like 98, 99. And so she started out as like an R&B pop singer in the late 90s in that whole era. And she actually one time performed on, I want to say I can't remember which show it was, but one of the sitcoms, she made an appearance, like they were at a live show. I have to check again. I didn't want to say the wrong one, but it might have been Living Single, but I have to double check. But yeah, so, and she also sings the hook on a bunch of Missy Elliott songs back in those days in the 90s, like All in My Grill, which is one of my favorite Missy Elliott songs. She sings the hook. And so she kind of started out in, like I said, in the late 90s as this sort of R&B pop singer R&B singer, and kind of had some struggles with record labels and a lot of different bad breaks and stuff, where she's featuring on a bunch of different songs. And she had this career then, and then she was like the first woman signed to Rockefeller Records back then, but she got kind of caught in the middle of all the Damon Dash and drama and stuff, and then her album never came out. And so this is starting into the early 2000s. So she kind of becomes a session musician where she's singing like the vocal hooks on a lot of songs. She puts out songs with Old Dirty Bastard and everyone else. And then Black Keys, towards the end of the 2000s, did an album called Black Rock, which was a collaboration between them and Rockefeller Records. And Nicole Ray is the woman who does majority of the vocals on that album, and she crushes it. She also sings backup vocals for a bunch of what's the band I just said? The Black Keys albums, like their big album, Brothers, that big one, like their most famous album.
Oh.
She's singing the backing vocals on that.
Okay, then I have heard her.
Yeah, for sure. And so and then so she's still, this is, about almost, I would say close to this is over 10 years into her career. And so she's come like back from that. And then somewhere around 2012 to 2014, she started doing sort of soul revival music under the name Lady Nicole Ray, where she really finally got to, this is the first time in her career she got to write and produce and put out the music that she wanted to. She wasn't just a session musician, or she wasn't making this like stuff when she was a teenager. And she put out this album, Queen Alone, in 2016 that blew my mind. It's like one of the best albums I've ever heard. And so it's more in the vein of like Charles Bradley or Lee Fields and that kind of, she's on the same record label as Lee Fields, which is Big Crown Records, and they do this kind of a lot of this revival soul stuff. And then just last year, 2022, she put out an album called Piece of Me, and there's some really incredible songs on there. But yeah, so if you look up anything from Lady Ray, like WRAY, she's phenomenal and one of my favorite singers ever of all time. And I also listen to all of her features, like her songs that she has in the past, like when she's singing the hook, she has so many great songs that she's featuring on, and then also a ton of stuff that she's putting out now. And so I have one song, I'll play you like a minute of, let me send it to you. And this is from her most recent album. And so just like listen to like a minute to 60 seconds of that or whatever. And that's a song called Under the Sun by Lady Ray from her newest album. You got it?
I wanna be free under the sun. Life for me has just begun. The sun is out, the wind is free. 3 little birds singing to me, and they sound like. Feel like living under the sun. Feel like living under the sun. Feel like loving under the sun. Oh, do you love it? I feel so good under the sun. Feel so good, yeah. Sun is shining, music's loud, all the kids are running.
So it's like about a minute or so of that. You sort of hear the chorus. So yeah, that's kind of the kind of like vocal range she has in the kind of style of music she's been putting out recently. And it's like, I just love it. I'm obsessed. And I've seen her in concert twice this past year. I actually got to see 2 of her tour stops, which was super
That's
cool.
awesome.
Yeah, I seen her in Idaho and Seattle this year. And she just has like, and so last thing I'll say about her is just like I said, watch the Tina Turner doc. About 2-3 years ago, I think when this newest album came out, BET did a Where Are They Now like special, like a 20-minute, like a half-hour episode about Nicole Ray going through this whole history and like all this stuff. And it's on YouTube. You could watch it. It's basically like it's not behind the music, but BET's version of it with Lady Ray. And it's really great. I recommend watching it.
All right, awesome. All right, so my next pick, have you heard of Odd Future at all?
I have heard of Odd Future, yes.
Yeah, so Odd Future is kind of like a collective, a bunch of different rappers and singers. So the most famous people to come out of it would be Tyler, the Creator, who is a rapper, and Frank Ocean, obviously,
I
was
see, right.
Odd
And then
Future.
is that also
Yeah.
Sid the Kid? Is
Yeah,
that?
I was.
Oh,
That's my
that's
pick.
the person. Oh, I see. Sorry.
Yes.
I didn't mean to do
I
that.
mean, you should have Sid was the only woman in Odd Future.
I don't know
So
much about them, so I was
yeah.
like, that's the only thing I've heard of. Yeah, my bad.
Yeah.
Sid the
So
Kid.
there was a group called The Internet that had Steve Lacy and Sid the Kid.
Oh,
So
that's
Steve,
where
I
Steve
love,
Lacy came from too. I didn't know
yes,
that. Okay.
yes. So I grew up obsessed with The Internet. For my 30th birthday, I went and saw Steve Lacy, but I actually did get the opportunity to see The Internet and hear Sid live, and she was just so important to me. And I know I said that with all of them, but growing up, she was just like so. A lot of the times there were female artists who I knew were gay, but kind of it was either played up for male attention or it was like hidden. But
Mm,
in her music, like she would openly be singing about loving women at a time where a lot of people weren't doing that.
I
So
see.
yeah, she has this beautiful voice and she was coming out, she had a very mask style, but had like this really sweet, beautiful, feminine voice. So she was just so unabashedly herself in a way that wasn't that common in the 2010s. So she was just like such a unique artist for me. Her music was so beautiful. Her solo music is fantastic. But the clip I am going to send is with The Internet, their song Girl, which again, it's just like her unabashedly singing about loving women, and it's
Okay.
just a beautiful song.
'Cause I'm not sure that I've heard any of their stuff or her stuff or the internet or Odd Future or um whichever. I just know the name because I also know a comedian or an actress who used to be named Sid the Kid when she was a kid and but isn't anymore. But yeah, so there's like another person with that name, and that's how I know that this person. But I'm loading it right now, so I'm just talking while I'm waiting for it to load it. It's gonna make me watch another ad. Okay. Only for two like seconds, so I think it's loading. Okay. Now I'm playing. Bro, sorry.
They don't know your worth. Tell them you're my girl.
Now it's like for real. This is like
And anything you want is yours. Yeah. Passion burning, causing rapture of laughter. Pressure building, falling faster and faster. If I told you that you rock my world, won't you around me? Would you let me call you my girl, my girlfriend, my girlfriend? I can give you the life you deserve. Just say the word, baby, and I gotcha. Hey, darling, I gotcha.
well, it's like a minute. I didn't that was not what I was expecting that to sound like. I thought that was gonna be very different than that. That's cool. And yeah, I see what you mean. It's like from the first lyric, it's like unapologetically sapphic love,
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, that's cool. Hell yeah. I'm gonna have to check her and them out. The internet. I'm like know so little about that whole everything you just told me. So I think we are kind of I'll try to be brief on my next one because I think we're getting close to our time limit here.
Yeah.
So before I do that though, I'll be really brief on it because I don't have to say a ton about her. But I picked the last one because I wanted to kind of mix it up a little bit, but I've got a whole bunch of honorable mentions I need to rattle off really quick. Donna Summer, Evelyn Champagne King, Lauryn Hill, Martha
Yes.
Wash, Shaka Khan, Janet Jackson, Whitney Houston, Jodie Watley, all incredible, right? Those all could have been on my list, any number of them. And more, you know, all of our classics, you know, Aretha and, you know, Sharon Jones and all that. But for my last pick, I'm going to go with the most essential 90s white woman of all time, God herself, Alanis Morissette. Because I love Alanis Morissette. She's great. She's fantastic. That album she put out, you know, Jagged Little Pill, is absolutely like incredible. That's what put her on the map. You know, or at least here in this country, she had a whole bunch of hits from that album. She played God. She's, you know, stuck around. She basically created a style of music at the time where like women weren't making music like that. Like, and it was she popularized it. Also, check out her documentary on HBO. Jagged Little Pill documentary is incredible. But what I want to talk about is, most people don't know this, is before Jagged Little Pill, which was her debut album in America, she has 2 albums that have been removed from circulation that came out in Canada. And she was making like late night, like not 80, these came out in like 90, 92, something like that. She's making, as a teenager, dance pop in the late 80s, 90s. She, in fact, toured opening for Vanilla Ice in 1991.
Wow.
And so they've completely like deleted these from the internet. I mean, they don't, you can't buy it, but they're on the internet. And some of the songs actually really slap. So, for example, I just sent you this clip. It's a song called, off of her debut album, which is self-titled, called Alanis, in 1991. So she would have been about 17, which is when she was just after she dated Dave Coulier, who, if we don't know that from Full House, Uncle Joey dated Alanis Morissette when she was a underage girl.
Yep.
That's who Jagged Little Pill's about. But so this is the kind of music she was a Canadian pop star then. Did it go through?
Yeah, I got it. Actually,
okay.
fun
Listen
fact,
it out.
the first song I did when I first did Jake's Comedy Jukebox was You Ought to Know.
You Ought to Know. I've done that for karaoke. I'm gonna play it now and put it in.
Yeah.
I guess maybe it takes a little bit to get going in the song, but you kind of heard the basic of it, like that style of dance music. But yeah, so I had to throw in Alanis in there. She's a go-to karaoke too, and she's just the best. Check out that documentary if you haven't. But we're almost at a time they're gonna make us stop this recording. We'll have to either do a new one or try to finish in the next minute. What do you think?
I think we can finish.
Okay. So yeah, that's our top 3. I said, so top 3 women singers. And so what do you think we should do next week?
So I shared a post on Facebook about your favorite 27%er. So I think we should keep with the Women's History Month theme and do our favorite female 27%ers. Because I haven't seen anyone list any at all in this conversation. So it'd be cool to think about that. So this is an actor that makes a movie at least 27% better just by their mere appearance.
Like character actors, like a Steve Buscemi was forever, or Joey Pants, or like the guy we were talking about earlier. Those sort of things, just for some examples. Yeah, so that sounds great. So this has been something of a podcast. Our recording is going to cut off in very shortly, and whenever it does, that's going to be our goodbye. I'm just going to talk until then. You can find us at Something of a Pod on Instagram, Something of a Podcast on YouTube. We're listening. You can find us on all the podcast apps. I'm Mike Gamms, at Mike Gamms. That's Kai VonDoom, at Kai_VonDoom, right? Or Kai VonDoom 70, or what is it for?
You know, I'm something of a podcast myself. I'm something of a podcast myself. You know, I'm something of a podcast. I'm something of a podcast myself.